This is Northern Light for Monday, August 3rd. Good morning. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Hundreds of items from Whitney Park, one of the largest privately owned estates in the Adirondacks, are going up for auction.
One of my favorite pieces from back there is actually a walking stick that's engraved to William Whitney, the founder of Whitney Park. It's a silver engraved walking stick, but when you actually pull it out, it's actually his log scale.
Also on the show, millions of New Yorkers are on track to receive rebate checks this fall. Some state Republicans say that's closely aligned to the November election.
Well, surprise, surprise, it's coming out a month before the election. Who'd have thunk?
And the Seagle Festival is staging performances of Dead Man Walking, a modern American opera this week. We'll get a preview.
All that's coming up on Northern Light. Stick with us. Northern Light is supported by the Adirondack Experience, the museum on Blue Mountain Lake, hosting a variety of creative workshops throughout the 2026 season, including photography and basket making. Details at theadkx.org. And from Adirondack Artists Guild on Main Street in Saranac Lake, a gallery of 15 local artists bringing fine art to the Adirondacks for over a quarter century, AdirondackArtistsGuild.com. And by AJA Architecture and Planning in Glens Falls, providing architecture, planning, and interior design services for residential, commercial, and community spaces throughout the North Country. AJAarchitecture.com. This is Northern Light. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. New York's new medical aid in dying law takes effect on Wednesday, and groups challenging the law in court have had mixed results. As Samuel King with the New York Public News Network reports, one lawsuit has been dismissed while other plaintiffs are claiming a temporary victory.
The state and a coalition of Catholic health providers have agreed to a temporary injunction and restraining order regarding enforcement of the medical aid in dying law. The agreement means 4 orders of religious nuns, the Diocese of Rockville Center on Long Island, and other Catholic facilities don't have to comply with the law while a federal lawsuit moves forward. The group sued just weeks before the law took effect, alleging religious protections in the law didn't go far enough to preserve their First Amendment rights. The order only applies to those who are part of the lawsuit. A federal judge dismissed a separate lawsuit from disability rights advocates on Thursday, saying the plaintiffs lack standing to sue. The law allows those with 6 months or less to live the ability to obtain life-ending medication once they follow certain conditions. The governor signed the law earlier this year after more than a decade of debate in the legislature. In Albany, I'm Samuel King for the New York Public News Network.
New York State is suing online prediction market Kalshi, saying its offerings amount to illegal gambling. The New York Public News Network's Jimmy Vielkind reports.
Attorney General Letitia James is asking a judge to shut down the platform. It lets users get paid out for correctly answering questions like who will win an election or a sporting match. The suit seeks $36 billion in damages from Kalshi and asks the company to return money it made from customers. Daniel Wallach teaches gambling law. He says the case poses an existential threat to Kalshi.
The Attorney General is empowered to recover and claw back a New York-based business's ill-gotten gains from wherever it does business throughout the United States.
Kalshi says it doesn't offer gambling, that it lets users buy and sell positions from each other, almost like a stock market. The company says the federal government, not New York, regulates it. In Albany, I'm Jimmy Vielkind for the New York Public News Network.
Governor Kathy Hochul says she's concerned about new federal regulations that would let people buy guns online and have them shipped to their homes. The Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms is seeking changes that would let gun buyers bypass licensed dealers. People buying guns online currently need to undergo a background check and pick up their purchases from a dealer. The Democratic governor says that's important.
A background check is everything. It's so critical. Also, mental health screening. We need to know. There's people who should not have a gun in their hands, and the federal government doesn't give a damn.
The ATF's proposal says background checks can happen remotely and that the new rules would provide more flexibility for gun buyers.
U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. visited Fort Drum last week. WWNY-TV reports he praised the Army base for serving as a quarantine location earlier this month for 14 people returning from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where there's an ongoing Ebola outbreak.
Incredibly accommodating on a very, very short notice. A lot of the discussions about this happen in the middle of the night because we wanted, there were issues including the potential of infection and we needed a lot of cooperation, and we got that from Fort Drum.
All 14 people were U.S. citizens and have since been released from quarantine. Kennedy and celebrity chef Robert Irvine were at Fort Drum for the ribbon cutting of a new campus-style dining hall called the Belvedere Bistro. The two have been collaborating to update military dining options. Kennedy said mission readiness begins with nutrition.
The health of our military is directly connected to the strength of our nation. Food is not just fuel, food is national security.
The Belvedere Bistro offers multiple food stations, customizable meals, and the option to eat in or take out. Soldiers told WWNY-TV that it's a significant upgrade from previous food options on the post.
One of the largest privately owned tracts of land in the Adirondacks is still looking for a buyer. A developer from Texas was set to buy the 36,000-acre Whitney Park near Long Lake last year, but the sale fell through. Still, the property is being cleaned out, and hundreds of items will soon be up for auction. Blanchard's auction service in Potsdam is hosting the online auction later this month. Folks can bid on old hickory furniture, more than 24 guide boats, and plenty of duck decoys, high-end art, and other furnishings from the Great Camp. Our Adirondack reporter, Emily Russell, spoke with Kip Blanchard, who is organizing the auction.
Whitney Park is a very special place. There's not a lot of people that have been back there. It's been in the same family since the late 1800s, but it is such a treasure just to be back there at the property. I mean, there's multiple great camps back there, lakes and rivers.
So is it right that you visited a couple times at least to get some of these pieces? And if so, what was that like just to be on the property there?
We did. We went a couple times just to view all the items, to see what was there, to put our proposal together and what we would do. But it is from the main road to get back to where we were. It is almost a half-hour ride back in on a dirt road to get there. So yeah, it is. It's not quite as easy as most of our pickups, but this was a bit of a challenge.
What stood out to you when you were on the property just looking at some of the furnishings?
It was a little overwhelming just how much stuff there that needed to be, taken care of. And, we took out 25 boats out of there, guide boats and canoes, and over 100 pieces of old hickory furniture out of multiple properties. But it was quite substantial.
So let's talk a little bit more about some of those items that are going to be auctioned off. Tell me just a few of the things that have caught your eye.
Some of the things that I feel that are most special to me or that I feel have great potential are things such as paintings that were done by Mary Lou Whitney of fish that were caught back on Salmon Lake. And they're very folk art pieces that have the guide and who was fishing that day. And I think those are just so special. One of my favorite pieces from back there is actually a walking stick that's engraved to William Whitney, the founder of Whitney Park. It's a silver engraved walking stick, but when you actually pull it out, it's actually his log scale, which is so appropriate coming from Whitney Industries, the founder of Whitney Industries, and such a large parcel of land that this was William Whitney's walking stick.
How accessible is this kind of stuff? Like, are there things there that locals could afford, or is this more, people furnishing their own great camps?
Yeah, there's such a wide range of things that are there. There's stuff for just everyday, ordinary people that are just looking to buy a memento for the day. I remember, the family, the park, whatever it may be. There's things that at all levels from, there's $50 items, there's $500 items, and there's $50,000 items that are coming out of there.
What is one of the most valuable pieces that will be up for auction?
I think the item that stands out the most would be the Ralph Cahoon painting, which, it's not really Adirondack. It's from Palm Beach, but it is a very desirable piece of art. His work is highly collectible. There is a Ralph Cahoon museum on Cape Cod. So I think that is going to be one of the stars of the show for sure. There's lots of great things. I mean, some of the guide boats as well. And there's a number of guide boats, but also a number of guide boats that are very desirable by known makers in very good condition. And there are some that are coming out of the carriage barn back there that are more project boats that need a lot of work. But they do have the history as being something original to Whitney Park, and someone may want to restore that.
So tell me just a little bit about how this auction works and when folks can actually see some of these pieces, and then how the bidding actually takes place.
Sure. So they can view it online. We have an in-person preview on the 11th, 12th, and 13th of August at our auction hall in Potsdam, where everything is set up, displayed, artwork hanging on the walls and rugs on the floor, and, things set up from Stickley furniture to taxidermy hanging. But there are people that like to bid today, and we have buyers from around the country that aren't able to show up in person, and they will just go online and view the catalog and bid that way. The actual auction will be an online auction on Friday, August 14th at 10 a.m. And that's when we start closing out the lots, and we'll go through them one at a time. So it will take us probably 8 to 10 hours to do the auction. So there will actually be no in-person auction. It'll just be an online auction.
That was Kip Blanchard from Blanchard's Auction Service in Potsdam speaking with Emily Russell. Blanchard is overseeing the auction of hundreds of items, furniture, art, and guide boats from the Whitney Estate in Long Lake. Blanchard's Auction Service is an NCPR underwriter. This is NCPR.
You're listening to Northern Light, only here on North Country Public Radio. It's 8:13. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Stick around. We have a conversation about an opera being performed in Schroon Lake this week that asks the audience to consider forgiveness and unconditional love.
That's coming up in just a couple minutes here on North Country Public Radio. First, we'll listen to a little more music from Billy McGinnis out of Brockville. Support for Northern Light comes from the View Restaurant at Mirror Lake in Lake Placid. Contemporary American cuisine, handcrafted cocktails, and select wines served with views of Mirror Lake and the High Peaks. MirrorLakeIn.com/dining. And from Homespun Occasions, engaging people in traditional square and contra dancing with live fiddle music. Details about booking for special events and school programs at homespun.biz. And from the Lake Placid Sinfonietta, live orchestral music in the heart of the Adirondacks through August 16th. Performance schedule and more at lakeplacidsinfonietta.org.
Rebate checks are coming soon, and details are emerging about new social media restrictions. New York Public News Network reporters Jimmy Vielkind and Samuel King break down the latest developments from the state capitol.
Hi, Jimmy.
Hi, Samuel.
Millions of New Yorkers are on track to get rebate checks in the mail. Jimmy, you said it's happening in the early fall.
That's right, Samuel. According to a person familiar with the state's plans, the checks will go out in September and October. Households reporting up to $300,000 of income are eligible for a check of up to $200. The whole plan's going to cost $1 billion, and it was touted by Governor Hochul as an affordability measure.
Oh, weird. Is there anything else happening this fall, like on November 3rd?
An election where Governor Hochul is on the ballot. And some people are shaking their heads about what they really don't think is a coincidence. State Senator Dean Murray is a Suffolk County Republican.
Well, surprise, surprise, it's coming out a month before the election. Who'd have thunk?
Murray says a small check isn't enough to give relief to state policies that he says drive up energy bills. Governor Hochul and many other groups support the checks. They say every little bit helps, especially for people on a fixed income.
Well, that's something to look for. And we're also learning more about a new law that will restrict what children can do on social media platforms. It's going to mean that all users will need to take steps to prove their age. How's that going to work?
Well, the new regulations, which take effect in January, will require any user to prove they're over 18 if they want to keep using big social media platforms as we know them now. You know, with these endless feeds of content that gets served up to us based on what we've already seen or engaged with.
I remember the law is designed to protect children from social media addiction by going back to, say, Facebook circa 2005, and no notifications between midnight and 6 a.m. Here's Governor Hochul explaining.
So under 18, your feed can only include accounts that you follow, that you choose, not sitting there as just a victim of this all bombardment, that you actually will have a choice of what you see.
But exactly how are people going to prove their age? Anonymity is a big part of social media for people.
Yeah, the regulations say people can do it with a government-issued ID. They can also use a face scan, a credit card, an email address, or a phone number. So I don't use social media much, but I was kind of thinking that I got on Facebook in 2005, so my account is over 21.
And I pity the teen who can't get full throttle LinkedIn because of their age.
Ugh.
I feel like there should be some sort of carve-out or something.
Yeah, definitely. What are social media companies saying about this?
They were, I would say, skeptical but tight-lipped. Tech NYC, a group whose members include Facebook parent Meta, said it's still reviewing the regulations. A national group called NetChoice, which has sued other states that regulate social media, said it thinks the new law won't pass legal muster. It says, quote, New York doesn't need to replace parents.
Okay. There's one other thing I want to quickly touch on. Democrats are condemning Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman, the Republican gubernatorial candidate, for something he said during an interview on Fox Business. Take a listen.
So we have money set aside for ballot security, number one. Number two, we'll have thousands of volunteers to make sure that there are no dirty tricks, that they don't try to steal the election. They will try to steal the election.
Blakeman mentioned his denial of public matching funds by an offshoot of the state elections board.
Yeah, Governor Hochul condemned this, saying, quote, denying election results is dangerous, delusional, and it undermines our democracy.
We'll see if there's more fallout there. Talk to you soon, Jimmy.
Take care, Samuel.
That was Jimmy Vielkind and Samuel King for the New York Public News Network Capitol Bureau.
The former chief of an ambulance squad in Jefferson County was arrested for stealing $157,000. Jeffrey Call was the squad chief of a paid nonprofit ambulance service in Cape Vincent. Call was charged with grand larceny and falsifying business records. The state controller's office found that Call allegedly paid himself, the deputy chief, and his girlfriend salaries. That was in addition to their authorized hourly wage for 2 years. He also made unauthorized payouts for bonuses and unused vacation time. Call was arraigned in Jefferson County Court.
Franklin County passed resolutions last week to expand high-speed internet access in its rural communities. According to the Plattsburgh Press-Republican, the county authorized a project to build over 100 miles of fiber optic cables to cover more than 1,000 households in the northern portion of Franklin County. The broadband expansion requires state approval and a grant extension. If approved, the total project budget would be about $25 million, and the completion date would be extended to June 2027. This is NCPR.
You're listening to Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Stick around after the show for Bird Note coming up at 8:42. With our eyes to the skies, sunset in Newton Falls is at 8:22 tonight, and the moon is a waning gibbous at 75% to full.
Widespread rain showers in the forecast today with a chance of thunderstorms this afternoon, which could get severe at times. Make sure to monitor the forecast as you go through your day. Highs expected to be in the 70s today. Drier weather expected tomorrow and Wednesday with showers returning on Thursday. At last check, it was 72 degrees in Fort Drum, 67 in Saranac Lake, 71 in Plattsburgh, and 20 degrees in Cornwall.
This next story mentions sexual assault. It's about 6 minutes long. A series of performances in Schroon Lake this week will ask the audience to consider grief, faith, and forgiveness. Seagle Festival is staging the opera Dead Man Walking Wednesday through Saturday. The opera is based on the nonfiction book of the same name by Sister Helen Prejean. It follows Prejean, a Catholic sister, as she counsels death row inmate Joseph Desrochers ahead of his execution. Seagle Festival's artistic director, Darren Woods, says people might think it's just a story about the death penalty.
And it's really not. It's a story of her evolution of being a spiritual advisor to someone on death row. And really, I think you do see her journey of can she find compassion and forgiveness and unconditional love for someone that we would think is a monster.
I spoke to Woods ahead of the premiere. We started by talking about what makes the opera version of the story special compared to the book and the movie.
Composers talk to me, they want to adapt a book or a play. And the first thing I ask them is, does this need to be sung? Will singing enhance this or bring us to a new revelation? And when I heard that Jake was writing this, I thought, does Dead Man Walking really need to be sung? Will it bring something new and something emotional? And I can say unequivocally, the answer was yes. It was so much more. It was so much more than the movie and so much more than the books to live those characters in real life.
Yeah, what do you think it adds to this story?
There's two arias that stand out that will break your heart.
My Joe is not a bad boy.
The one of them is after Sister Helen and Joseph meet, he asks her to go to the parole board where they're asking for him to just get a life sentence and not be on death row. And his mother, who is uneducated, reads a statement that she's made to beg for her son's life. And then she says, I'm not going to read it anymore. And she talks about, he gave her this ivory comb, and would a monster do that for his mother? She just talks about the simple things in the life when he was a boy and they had it rough and his father left them and they were poor and he left school. And she looks at the parents and she says, what my son is accused of doing to your children is horrible, but is killing him going to solve anything? And then in the second act, when he's marching to his death, he has one last time with his two little brothers and his mother. He's about to confess to her and she says, just look at me. I'm smiling.
Smiling and remembering a little boy. My Joe, little Joey. How you love to swim and splash around in the water. All the funny tricks you do.
And she just makes herself believe that he's being unjustly punished because she has to. And when he leaves, she just collapses. And those two arias are pivotal for me and in the show and demonstrate the need for this to be sung. It will hit you. Somebody told me the other day, I'm not going to come because I'm not going to go to any downers. I'm at the age in my life where I'm not going to go to anything that's not happy. And I said, well, there are some really happy moments in it. There's some really beautiful moments in it, but is seeing how unconditional love works out really a downer at the end of the day. And so, a part of our mission is bringing American opera here to the North Country in particular. And I picked some pretty challenging things. And this is probably the most challenging. But I ask people to come and just witness the piece, just take the piece in. And I promise it'll be fodder for conversations for many months.
The cast of this performance is full of young people. How are rehearsals going?
They're really spectacular. And we have a great director, Octavio Cardenas. It's his debut. He is a professor at Eastman in Rochester, and he'd done the piece before, and he'd also worked with me. We also had an intimacy director here because the rape and the murdering and we had those directors. I haven't even seen those scenes yet because they've been completely done in private, so the artists could really experiment. But they feel the weight, and they want to tell the truth about and honor all those people, dead or alive. The Joseph Desrochers is not a real person. He's a composite character of, I think, the first 2 or 3 people that she worked with. So the story is not a direct line of something that actually happened. It is a fictionalized version. And what's interesting and necessary about rehearsal is you have to go there and you have to weep and you have to cry and you have to feel it so that you've been there and you can bring that same emotion to the audience and not lose it, that you're so practiced at it. But I will say, even our pianist, John Cockerell, the first time the mother sang her first aria when she staged it, everybody was weeping in the room because it's so real. And so I have to honor all these, I call them my kids, all these young artists this is a weighty thing and they are so owning it.
It sounds like a really nuanced performance that's also going to be really exciting. What's your final pitch for people to come on out and see one of the shows?
I want you to come see an opera that is about a people of our time. These are not people in 17th century wigs. These are not people on a boat. All those things were really great, what we did this year. This is something that has happened in our lifetimes, most of us. And we all know these people. It would be a shame if you didn't come and sit and absorb and just be with these people for 2 hours.
That was Seagle Festival's artistic director, Darren Woods, speaking about the upcoming performances of Dead Man Walking. In the story, you heard clips from the Houston Grand Opera, but you can see the performance live this week at the Oscar Seagle Memorial Theater in Schroon Lake. Performances are scheduled for 7:30 p.m. beginning this Wednesday, with others following on August 6th and 8th, along with a matinee on August 7th at 2 o'clock. That's the show. Stick around for news headlines from NPR coming up next.
Then after that, get caught up on the morning's business news with the Marketplace Morning Report. What's driving up the cost of buying a house? Mortgage rates and Google's AI summaries. We'll have more on that coming up from 8:51 to 9 o'clock here on NCPR.
If you miss an episode of Northern Light, you can listen back to the archive anytime, any place you get your podcasts. And you can subscribe to NCPR's other podcasts too. Get a roundup of the day's news with Story of the Day, listen to personal stories told live by folks in the community on The Howl, or hear features and interviews about life in the North Country with Northwards.
Northern Light is supported by Casella Resource Solutions, serving the waste and recycling needs of homeowners and businesses. Online at casella.com. Our theme music is by Danny Thomas. Until tomorrow, I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Be well.